imagine imagining dragons right now. And I simply can't. We have concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony.
Yes, Jeff. Yes,
Science.
Jeff, it's me, Anthony, from work. What's up?
Science has figured out, finally, why we're crazy.
Oh.
We've been chasing.
I heard it's all because of the girl. I heard we're crazy over the girl.
No. She drives me crazy.
That's what I heard. I heard the lady drove us crazy.
No, that's not it. I'm talking about this thing that you and I have been wondering about since the inception of this podcast, probably earlier than that. What's wrong with us, really? That's the question. And science has an answer. And I don't mean us in a general term. I mean specifically us. I mean specifically those of us of our age, of our ilk, those who were born when we were born. What happened? Well, we have the answer. We've got the answer now. A new study released just at the end of 2024. A study that was posted to our Discord by Spielberg Neufer. Thank you.
Spielberg.
Thank you, Spielberg. It's the lead.
No.
It's the lead.
No, it's not the lead. No, the lead was gone by the time we were kids. The lead was a boomer thing.
Nope.
It was not an us thing.
Nope. Wrong. It's the lead.
Nope. It's not the lead, dude.
It's the lead in the gasoline.
Oh, no, we were using unleaded.
We weren't. Unleaded was phased out in 1996, my friend.
Yeah, but none of my parents' cars weren't using leaded. They were using unleaded.
Well, there's a new study published in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry.
Kids don't know anything. Kids can't write a journal. I don't trust anything written by these children.
They have compared the data of mental disorders attributable to childhood lead exposure and the blood level, the blood lead levels by age in the United States. They checked from 1940 all the way through 2015.
Yeah.
And they found that the highest concurrence of both of those things is for people that were born from 1960 to 1980, otherwise known as Generation X.
Yeah, but I squeaked in right at the end there. I'm a planeswalker.
Actually, it's not even 60 to 80. It's 66 to 86 is what they said. 66 to 86.
No,
you're
absolutely
in it.
Fuck you.
This is the hot period.
I was baby. Here's the thing, Jeff. I was baby.
That's when it hits you. That's when the lead is most impactful.
I wasn't driving. I wasn't allowed to drive until I was 7.
It's the exhaust fumes. It's not being in the car. It's being in the atmosphere that also has a leaded exhaust. Guess what? Childhood lead exposure.
I'm so mad at you right now.
Results in Gen X has resulted in reduced brain size.
Yeah.
Cardiovascular disease. ADHD.
No.
And other mental illness.
Never once have I had ADHD.
Not only that, Anthony. Not only that.
Mental illness, Jeffrey.
Get this one. Childhood lead exposure.
Yeah.
Has stolen an average of almost 3 IQ points per person. And nearly 6 IQ points on average for Gen Xers. We are dumber.
Oh, man, but that does explain grunge. like, can I be honest with you? That does sort of explain grunge. I mean, like, if you look at the lyrics to any grunge song that any Gen Xer likes, like nobody even knows what a Pearl Jam was saying.
No, we didn't need to know because we were so dumb. Because all the lead.
we were like, dude, the lyrics, they're not literal. They're evocative. Evocative
That's right.
of what, dum-dum? Evocative of what? They don't mean
on the
anything.
ceiling, I'm on the ceiling, I'm on the ceiling, yeah.
Yeah, what is he saying there?
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares?
Do you know? Does anybody know the lyrics to Yellow Ledbetter?
No, but Eddie Vedder doesn't know the lyrics to Yellow Ledbetter.
Let me tell you. Okay, so if you are one of our younger listeners, congratulations on avoiding the lead. But also, Pearl Jam was just everywhere. I can't explain to you how big Pearl Jam was.
Oh yeah,
There was like a real moment where it looked like we were all going to turn into hippies again. Like,
I almost got a Pearl Jam tattoo.
Oh, the little stick figure man?
Yep, considered it.
Do you know how many people I knew with the little stick figure man? They still have it, Jeff. That's the thing about a tattoo.
That's the problem.
I know who have a Pearl Jam tattoo, who had a Pearl Jam tattoo in high school or college, they still have it.
They're still alive.
Yeah, so Pearl Jam was everywhere, and Eddie Vedder used to sing like, "Oh, Jeremy spoken," but like the actual lyrics to Yellow Ledbetter, unsealed on a porch a letter sat. Once I saw him on a beach of weathered sand, and on the sand,
he doesn't say any of that.
I want to leave it again.
No.
And
that's not what it says.
No, there's nothing. None of these lyrics make any sense.
On the west side, on the way, yeah. And I saw what I said, and I know what I said, and then I pulled out.
We're part of a generation that's supposed to lionize Kurt Cobain. We're supposed to be like, Kurt Cobain is one of the greatest geniuses we ever lost. And I like Nirvana.
Yeah.
I like Nirvana a normal amount, I would say. When I was in 6th grade, I liked Nirvana way more than a normal amount. You know?
Yeah.
But I like Nirvana a normal amount. When Nirvana comes on in a movie to signal that it's the 90s, I go, oh, it's the 90s right now in this film, and I enjoy that. But once again, I'm not putting Nirvana on at home. Nirvana lyrics are just, no. They don't make
It's because we were all dumber. It's because we were all dumber.
Yeah. It's just
so even small IQ deficits can meaningfully impact an individual's educational and occupational attainment, health, wealth, and happiness. Yeah. And we all lost 6 IQ points because of the lead. The lead.
Here we go. The lyrics of our generation, Jeff, from Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yep.
Here we are now. Entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious.
Well,
Here
there you
we
go.
are now. Entertain us.
He was
a
onto
mulatto,
something.
An albino, a mosquito, my libido.
My libido. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the chorus is, then the post chorus is, hey. And so if you ever hear anybody from Gen X making fun of like trap hip hop lyrics, tell them to absolutely cover themselves in cement and throw themselves off the side of a ravine. Because we were listening to Kurt Cobain say, a mosquito, my libido.
Hi.
And we were like, this guy's the deepest guy that's ever existed
genius.
in life.
He's a genius.
So what I'm saying is, if you tell me that we all had lead poisoning and I look back at the pop culture that we were all enjoying at the time, I say I may be willing to entertain this theory.
Entertain us. Yeah. So researchers have linked lead exposure to an estimated 151 million excess mental disorders in the United States over 75 years.
What's an excess mental disorder compared to a non-excess, like a within reason mental disorder?
Yeah, I think that there
parameters.
Yeah, I mean that's where this science is a bit of art, right? Is that they have managed to classify a certain number of expected mental disorders, and this exceeds that. And of course, you have to leverage that with
a bunch of scientists just look at kids on a playground and they're like, oh yeah, like 40% of these kids are going to grow up crazy. And then at 50, like you're just looking at the kid, like, look at that one eating dirt. Yeah, that kid's going to be dumb as hell. That kid's going to be dumb as hell. And then like they grow up and it's like, well, it turns out that actually 55% of them were crazy. Really? 55? When I was looking at them at the playground 10 years ago, I would have thought 40.
See? Excess.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm shocked that leaded gas wasn't banned until 1996. I could have sworn, but it was phased out slowly over time because you can't just go cold turkey off of lead.
That's the thing is I remember it being a thing, the disappearance of leaded gas, because I got my license after leaded gas was taken away. But I remember that like for a few years before that, I knew some people who drove cars in school that had leaded gas because it was super cheap to get a car that ran on leaded gas because it was going away.
Yeah.
So their parents were like, well, here's like a $500 car that you can drive around and get lead poisoning from, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we saved $1,000 and your brain is now shrinking every day.
I don't even think it's the car you drove per se. It's the car you're being poisoned by everybody's cars, right? It's everybody's cars. And I want to get into the history of this, but first let's just be clear on the science because with this research,
like your uncle's car poisoned your father's car.
That's right. That's right.
And now your car has to be in charge of all the cars in Denmark.
Look to your left, look to your right. If both of those cars are poisoning you. That's
right. So no, I get this. This is, for a while, they were saying that people in cities were actually healthier than people in suburbs when it came to cardiovascular stuff, not just because we were walking around more, but because being in a car surrounded by cars all day was exposing people in the suburbs to more exhaust fumes. From other cars. Like, even though you could be in a city that's like very dense and like maybe 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, you're on a highway that's full of dense traffic. People in suburbs are driving around everywhere. And so they're constantly surrounded by car exhaust. And so people were saying for a while, you get more sort of like respiratory things and your cardiovascular health becomes worse. So I can imagine that, like your other people's cars being around all the time.
And in this case, for a while means until 1996.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what the research team did to get to this conclusion. They combined.
We have less microplastics. What did we had less something. We didn't have asbestos.
I guess it's a balance. I guess you're right. It is a balance.
We had
there
less
was fewer
microplastics
things,
and we didn't have as much asbestos.
You know, potato, and each of those potatoes was poison. So what they did was they took the BLL data, which is blood lead level data, from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Surveys that took place between 1940 and 2015, and they calculated population mental health symptom elevations during that same time from known lead psychopathology associations. So this is all sourced information that they just sort of compared and graphed and went, oh, here's when it peaked over this period of time of people born these years, which is us, Generation X.
But they said that probably like people who were born on the later side of that were probably better off, right? They said that people who were born like way towards the end of that were probably like pretty cool and good and smart, right?
Actually, it says that the later that you were born, the more prone to denial you are.
That seems, no, that doesn't seem right.
I mean, I find this fascinating. This is basically the extent of the study is like, here it is. These people are screwed. And it drops off. The lead poisoning drops off after that, and especially drops off after 1996. Although they consider this data to be a floor, not a ceiling, right? This is just comparing it to lead emissions from leaded gasoline. It doesn't take into account other sources of lead poisoning like paint and pipes and all the other things that can.
That's what I was going to say is like when I think about lead poisoning, that's what I think of a lot. I think of the eating of the paint chips.
Right.
The water from the pipes, from the old pipes.
Right.
So I mean, like, when I think of lead poisoning as a boomer thing, I think that's what I think of, is there was just lead everywhere.
Well, yes, but I think that it wasn't actually in the air you breathe. You had to actually be in a leaded paint house and ingest those chips. And certainly that caused problems, but it really was leaded gasoline that caused the problem.
Are you saying that we have more fucking lead poisoning than a boomer does?
Yes, that's exactly what this data suggests.
Absolutely, fuck you. There's no way.
That's what they say.
We
have like an order of magnitude more.
I'm mad at you. This is your study.
Right.
You did this to me. You brought this into my life. Spielberg, Newford, eat shit. Here's what I'm going to say. You're telling me there was lead in the goddamn water coming out of the pipes, and I've got more lead poisoning. More lead poisoning.
Yeah.
I had a Brita filter, motherfucker.
So what I did was I went back and looked at the history of how, because I was curious. 1996 seems so late for me for us to lose the lead in the gasoline, and it turns out it was. Well, first of all, do you want to know what the first country was that banned leaded gasoline?
It's probably, I'm going to guess it's Asian or Scandinavian.
You're right. It is Asian. It's actually Japan.
Yeah, that tracks.
Japan did it. They had this crazy situation where there was this place called the Yoshigomi Yanagicho Crossing, which happens to be a really busy intersection of cars that also happens to be sort of in a valley where like all the pollution would just sit in this one intersection. It would just like clog up, and people just started dying. The people that had to work near there.
Wait, I'm sorry. How big was this intersection, and how deep was the pit that it was in? That's
I think it was
nuts to me.
Relatively small, actually. It was like really centralized there, and that kind of started this public outcrying of like, hey, maybe it's what we're breathing that's causing the problem. People were getting like lead poisoning.
One asshole was just doing donuts at Yoshigomi Crossing.
Yeah, maybe
all day. Because like, how did this one crossing get so polluted?
Well, it made people start saying, hey, there's lots of lead poisoning. People are going into the hospital. They have lead poisoning. What's going on? Well, so that's like the first country. That was 1970.
Daryl, who was doing fucking donuts.
Daryl, stop it.
They're like, there he is.
February 1970. This is when that happened, when they started banning it in Japan. 1996 in America. But I found that's not actually the case, because there was a 9-month period in America when it was actually banned. Oh, no, sorry, not 9 months, 3 years. 3 years from 1923, the New York City banned leaded gasoline for 3 years.
Dude, we were talking about it. We were talking about the inventor of the leaded gasoline.
Yes.
A few episodes back, if you didn't listen to that. And this dude basically, for the good of corporate America, poisoned himself in front of everyone and was like, look, leaded gasoline's fine.
To prove that it was fine. So
basically drank a gallon of leaded gas and collected the money and ran away
until he
perished. Sick. Because they wanted to get rid of and it wasn't even, leaded gas wasn't even, I remember from this episode, leaded gas wasn't even like more efficient or anything. It just made cars run quieter.
It removes the knock. There was a knock. Yeah, that's right.
Cars were like tapakata, like
that's right.
Like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
That's exactly right.
And this guy,
and it basically brought about
evil man invented the
Thomas Midgley.
Yeah, Midgley. Fuck you, Midgley. I remember you.
Yeah,
who cheated at baseball when he was a child, and then grew up to invent the leaded gas. Was like, oh, do you hate the tapakatas? Do you hate it so much that you would poison yourself and those around you? I'm Thomas Midgley, and I'm here to offer you a deal, a pact.
That's
Simply
right.
Make an agreement with me, Thomas Midgley, and I'll get rid of the tapakatas.
He worked for General Motors.
From you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your life, basically. It brought about modern automobiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
The post-apocalyptas, as we like to call them.
Yeah.
So
what's your favorite post-apocalyptic movie?
Post-apocalyptic Mad Max. So what we didn't talk about in that episode about Midgley is this period where people started freaking out because there was a lot of lead poisoning happening, and somebody went, the Surgeon General was like, hey, let's look into this. And he sent a letter to General Motors and DuPont. And he said, hey, this thing you've just introduced called tetraethyl lead gasoline.
Yeah.
Which tetraethyl, by the way, is a trademarked term. Like you're literally owning this. Mm-hmm. We think might be problematic. Have you done any studies?
The Surgeon General said, are you killing people?
That's right.
Are you killing people? And you have to tell me the truth. You have to tell me the truth if you're killing people. And if you lie to me, I'll be very mad.
That's right.
You better lie. And then, as corporations always have throughout history, they simply said, fuck you. We're not answering.
Oh, it gets so much more fun than that. You are going to love the progression through this. So GM and DuPont went, no, we've never really looked into the safety hazards of this miracle gasoline that we invented that makes the topacitas go away. No, and by the way, did you see Midgley drink some? He's fine.
He's fine. And also, you're welcome. And also, if you wanted us to check for the safety of gasoline, seems like you should have made that a law.
That's right. So they went, okay, you're worried about this.
There was no gasoline before this. Yeah. Well, you should have thought about that. Gasoline.
Why didn't you think of that?
Why didn't you think about gasoline back when there wasn't any? And now you need to make a government for it. Otherwise, we're going to keep making Midgley drink this.
So they made an agreement. The Surgeon General made an agreement with General Motors. General Motors Research Corporation provided funding for an investigation, and they did it through, yes, that's right, you guessed it, the U.S. Bureau of Mines. U.S. Bureau of Mines is the oversight organization that helped conduct this study. Now,
that's where I would go. That's where I would absolutely go. If I needed somebody to look into gasoline, I'd be like, it's probably the U.S. Bureau of Mines, because gas from underground, mines underground, mostly. So seems like that's their purview. I don't know. Why the U.S. Bureau of Mines?
Well, because they were easily manipulated.
Yeah, of course.
The GM
because they don't know anything about it. They know about mines. It's like getting the U.S. Bureau of fucking sandwich cookies to look into the gasoline. Yeah. It's like, what does this gasoline look like? Well, I mean, it looks like it could have a little more filling in the center. And I personally, and listen, we here at the Bureau recommend the kind of sandwich cookie that has 1 chocolate, 1 vanilla.
Yeah.
A lot of people tell you 2 chocolate, like a Hydrox or an Oreo. But I said Hydrox first because it's the 1920s. And I'm going to tell you right now that people they say that they want the double chocolate, but they prefer the variety, the vanilla. I'm sorry, we're talking about what? Gasoline kills people?
So the GM had a request for the Bureau. Yeah. Their prime negotiator, Charles Kettering, requested.
Charles Kettering said, be nice to us.
He said, quote, the Bureau should refrain from giving out the usual press and progress reports during the course of the work, as GM feels that the newspapers are apt to give scare headlines and false impressions before we definitely know what the influence of the material will be.
This is why it's cool to let the corporations that you're investigating provide the money to do the investigating. It's good when corporations get more involved in government.
So good. He goes, okay, so here's what we'll do. The Bureau goes, oh yeah, no problem. We will definitely agree to that public blackout of information. And Kettering goes, well, there's one other thing we should say. And that is, let's not use the word lead, even in our intra-bureau correspondence, because, quote, if it should happen to get some publicity accidentally, it would not be so bad if the word lead were omitted, as this term is apt to prejudice somewhat against its use.
Sure. If it's not the lead, we don't want to say it's the lead. If it's not if it's not the lead, we don't want to say, we don't even want to say we're investigating lead, because what if we investigate lead and it turns out that lead is fine? And then everybody hates lead anyway. And then we can't and then all the cars go to pocket again.
That's right. We wouldn't want that.
And we basically regressed back into monkeys. Society will fall apart.
And also, we happen to own the term tetraethyl, and we started a corporation. They started a side corporation called the Ethyl Corporation, which, by the way, we request that you send us anything, by the way,
don't send it to GM. Don't send it to GM. You send it to the Ethyl Corporation.
The Ethyl Corporation. Before publication of any papers or articles by your bureau, they should be submitted to the Ethyl Corporation for comment, criticism, and approval.
Yeah.
So the bureau is like, oh, yeah, no problem.
More than anything.
No problem.
Why is the bureau? Hey, listen, I understand that the Bureau of Mines doesn't want to do this. I understand that if I'm Stephen Mines of the Bureau of Mines, and I'm just sitting with my helmet lamp and my pickaxe, and I'm just trying to like go to work, and I keep getting calls in my office, and it's like, hey, we got more questions about the gasoline. If I'm Stephen Mines, I'm like, fuck your gasoline, man. Fuck your gasoline. I've got literal canaries dying down there.
That's right. Oh, so this is what
I don't have time for this. What? Fine. You want us to submit it to wherever? I don't give a shit, dude. Submit it to yourself and jump in a lake. I don't fucking care.
I didn't want this job. I don't need this responsibility. I don't even understand why I'm doing this.
I wanted to dig for gold like my grandfather.
That's right. I'm happiest with a long beard, a pickaxe, and some ornery tales. I just want some day.
I just want a pan. And I want to shake it around with some silt in it. I don't have time for your bullshit.
Give me silt. I don't want this. Yeah. So you'll never guess what the official report to the American Medical Association was from the Bureau of Mines.
Well, it didn't say lead. It didn't say gasoline. It didn't say GM. And it didn't say, I probably didn't say automobile. It probably didn't say sick. The report was probably, this corporation says things are good with stuff.
So the exact quote was,
submitting this, Stephen, what does this even mean? And Stephen's like, I don't even know anymore, dude.
I don't know. I've been down in the mine all day.
The paper that I was told to hand you, where we say that something is fine, but we're not sure what.
Here's the exact quote. There is, quote, no danger of acquiring lead poisoning through even prolonged exposure to exhaust gases of cars using ethyl gas. Now, ethyl is capitalized because, of course, it's a trademark.
Yeah, of course.
Now, he went on to say, the report went on to say, and I love this quote, poisoning from carbon monoxide would arise long before the concentration of lead would reach a point where even the cumulative poison is going to be feared.
Oh, so the fumes would kill you from something else before the lead killed you.
Don't even worry. You're going to be dead long before you notice.
Listen, our cars are going to kill you in 17 different ways before they kill you with lead.
This is not the end of the story, Anthony, because it gets so much better.
Cars happen. That's what's fucked about this, dude.
Dude, the next step of this story is so chef's kiss, because what happens is...
before you get there, I just want to say, we continued letting cars happen. This is the
20s.
This is the 20s. And we really were ramping it up.
Yes.
Like by the 50s, we were all talking about driving forever on the interstate. We were like, why would we build more trains? That's stupid. When I could put my screaming kids into my own car and give them my own lead to suck on while we drive to Yellowstone or wherever we're going. Why don't we, as a matter of fact, why don't we rip all the trolleys out of cities? These cars are going so well. Why don't we just literally rip all of the streetcars out of cities?
Everyone loves them. They don't make that annoying sound anymore. It's the best.
And this weird prospector gave us a sheet of paper that says they're cool.
That's right. So Everything's fine. American Medical Association is like, oh, awesome. Thanks, guys, for filing the report. We're all good to go. Let's all just keep using leaded gasoline until
Dude, what
October.
did the Surgeon General say after this report? Did any thinking person read this report and not go, this is fucked?
No, thumbs up, dude. Thumbs up. You did it. We got the data. It's all good.
We trust Stephen Mines.
That's
he knows
right.
Everything there is to know about cars.
Cut to literally right after this, October 26th, 1924.
The witching hour.
Elizabeth, New Jersey. Standard Oil has
New Jersey?
What? Elizabeth. Yeah, Elizabeth. No. Standard Oil has a plant.
Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, it's a city, Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Gotcha.
Standard Oil Company has an experimental lab there.
Yeah.
Between October 26th and October 30th, 5 workers died and 35 others experienced severe palsies, tremors, hallucinations, and other serious neurological symptoms
Did
of
they ever
organic
find out what it was?
lead poisoning.
No,
yes.
Jeff. No, because we have the paper from Stephen Mines. What actually now it is October 26th, so I'm going to recommend that we say ghosts.
It's certainly possible. We're getting to the witching season. That's true.
That's what I'm saying.
So, but it's 5 workers dead, only 35 with severe, horrible symptoms.
It's possible
this has to be a huge. Well, 35 of how many? That's the question. 35 of how it's got to be a massive population, right? Turns out 49 total workers. 35 of 49 are literally hallucinating, freaking out, having tremors, palsies. 5 of them drop dead.
Now wait, Jeff.
Yeah.
Every number is a multiple of 7. Are we sure this isn't a math-related crime?
Oh, that's a good notice. Very good point.
Are we sure this isn't a math-related crime, Jeff? Are we sure that it was the gasoline? Because we do, once again, have a paper from Stephen Mines that says that the leaded gas, it doesn't say lead, and it doesn't say gas, and it doesn't say ethyl, and it doesn't say GM. But there is a paper that reads something like a Mad Lib that says that things should be safe in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And
well, guess what? The company doctor, Standard Oil's own internal doctor, filed his own report on that first day and was quoted in the New York Times. The company doctor said,
ghost is what he said.
He said, quote, nothing ought to be said about this matter in the public interest because, quote, I love this so much. These men probably went insane because they worked too hard.
Yeah, it was probably this. And who worked them too hard? That's not a question either.
They wanted to work. They were so excited.
And here's the problem. They wanted to work, but these were obviously frail men.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? These weren't oil men. Oil men are strong. And what happened was we accidentally got sent some weak, terrible men. They're probably miners. If we're honest, they're probably people that came from the mines. And the thing is, mine people are stupid and weak.
Yeah.
And easily manipulated, and they get sick and they die easy. And that's not like oil men. What we need people to send us oil men that can work.
Yes. These are, the problem is these guys, you know, they want to work so hard. We try to send them home. We tell them, take a break. Hey, take a break, man. Stop.
Dude, enjoy a delicious sandwich cookie provided to us by the Sandwich Cookie Bureau.
Yes.
And they say, no time. I got to continue ethyling the oil.
I got to put all this ethyl in the gasoline.
I picture the process of letting gasoline, Jeff, now that we know that 35 out of 49 people died and 5 people and the remaining 5 of the 7 went crazy. Here's what I think the process of ethyling the gasoline is. The gasoline is kept at not a boiling temperature, but a very warm, like a simmering temperature. And the gasoline is in large vats. And the men walk around on catwalks over the vats of gasoline, and they have bags. They have bags of shredded lead. It's just, it looks like glitter almost. And what they do, Jeff, is they pour out of the burlap sacks which leak. They just leak glitter
Yeah.
all over everything. They
Yeah.
pour the lead into the giant vats, and then one man has a giant spoon, and he takes the giant spoon and stirs by hand the lead into the vats. And then to test if the gasoline is leaded properly, they stick a finger in and they just give it a taste.
I mean, you're exaggerating, but not by much. Not by much. Their official, this was a huge story, right? It became a big deal. And they had a press conference and they said,
Midgley was,
by the way, the newspapers
taking sips out of his fucking unleaded gas flask.
Yeah. The newspapers started calling it the loony gas, right?
The loony gas.
This is when Midgley says that the men, regardless of warnings and provisions for their protection, had failed to appreciate the dangers of constant absorption of the fluid by their hands and arms. They were not masked nor told to wear rubber gloves or rubber boots. So basically, just holding a giant spoon, swirling it around.
And then if they don't lead the gas fast enough, Jeff, it's like the I Love Lucy bit with the chocolate on the conveyor belt.
They have to just eat it. Yeah, that's right.
They just start drinking the excess gas because they don't know where to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck. And hey, Jeff, I have to say it again. We kept letting cars happen.
I know. Yeah.
We just kept letting cars happen. Not only did we keep letting them happen, we fell in love with them after this period. This was.
Yeah. This is a precursor.
Don Draper wasn't even convincing us to buy an automobile yet for our family. Don Draper wasn't even telling us that we needed 2 cars yet.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, we hadn't even gotten to it yet. But people are dropping dead in droves, and it hasn't even gotten to be popular. This is like
80%. 80% of the people who deal with it are dying, right?
That's right.
Another like 10% or 15% are going insane just from touching it.
That's right.
If this was a statue, if gasoline was a small stone idol, we would be saying, return it to the temple from whence it came. We would be saying, you are simply cursed by the idol now, and you must bring it back to where it came from. Otherwise, it will continue to murder you. And we said, yeah, but like, I get to work 6 minutes faster.
And there's no weird sound anymore from the engine.
So it's quieter than the bus, and I get there 6 minutes faster. So I'm probably going to keep kissing the idol and telling the idol that it's making my dreams come true and letting the idol whisper things to me at night.
Yeah. So the New York Times starts looking into this stuff. They find out that there's been a massive cover up, that there's this other DuPont plant in Deepwater. That they uncovered that there had been over 300 cases of lead poisoning among workers at the Deepwater plant over 2 years. 2 years, 300 cases.
Yeah, but what they don't tell you about Deepwater is Deepwater has a long, rich tradition of lead biting competition. Everybody gets together in the center of town and tries to take the biggest bite they can into the lead rod, and whoever's teeth leave the best marks
wins.
They get a sandwich cookie.
That's right.
Chocolate vanilla kind.
The workers at the Deepwater plant called the plant the House of the Butterflies because so many of them were having hallucinations of insects during their bouts of lead poisoning.
That's a lovely way to put having the crawling DTs.
Yeah. 80% of everybody who worked at the House of Butterflies, or even who went into it to make repairs, were lead poisoned, sometimes repeatedly. So even if you were like a plumber who just had a day job to go into the House of Butterflies and, unclog the drain because there's so many people throwing up from their lead poisoning,
Yeah. Hey, can I tell you what, though?
What?
The moment you give a creepy building where people are dying, a name like the House of Butterflies, I immediately want to go inside. The second they give it the name, the House of Butterflies, don't you want to explore it, Jeff?
Yeah.
Like you kind of do, right? Like
sure.
You're just like, oh, everybody's
It's a level in a video game for sure.
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, they're dying at the plant. And you go, oh my God, they're dying at the plant. That's terrible. We got to do something about it. But people say, they say men don't return from the House of Butterflies.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh shit, I got to get me to the House of Butterflies. I'm the one that's going to make it out.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a problem right there. Branding. And the thing is, they did it to themselves because DuPont
did it to themselves,
calling it the House of Butterflies.
That's right. And of course, you know, the Times also determined that if you went home because you were lead poisoned, you had to forfeit your day's wage.
Yeah, of course.
So
you didn't work that day. Why would you?
You didn't work that day. Right. So even if you worked part of that day and then you left, sorry, we round up.
That's baby fee for being a baby. We've told you before, we need oil men.
That's right. We need oil tough. Men. If you're not man enough to work here, then we're not going to pay you for the work that you've done here.
Don't do it at all. And if you don't do it right for half the day, I'm not paying you for half the day.
That's right.
Get the fuck out of here. And also, there's no need for labor unions. Here's the thing. America, here's what we don't need. Labor unions. Here's what we need. Cars. If every time a man said, I'm going to start a union, they would instead say, I'm going to buy my family a beautiful automobile, America would be a much better place to live in. Do you know what I mean?
So, oh yes, for sure.
Not every man needs to be part of a labor union, but every man does need a car. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. We have our priorities in the right place.
How are you going to get to work to have your precious workers' rights, your baby town frolics, your fucking clown shoes ass workers' rights? How are you going to even exercise them at the job if you can't get to the job because it takes you 6 minutes longer every day and it's very hard? You're going to need a car. You should get two car. You should get two car because when you bring car to work, what's your wife going to do?
You need a second car. If there's a part of your day where you're not being actively poisoned, you need to get on that.
You need to get on it, dude.
The doctors who examined the workers said, quote, some of these individuals gave no physical evidence and no symptoms or any evidence that could be found by a physical examination that would indicate they were ill, but at the same time showed lead in their stools.
That's right.
So, they were dropping actual ingots of lead out of their rectums.
Yeah.
And it was landing in the porcelain tub with a clank.
Yeah.
But other than that, no symptoms. I don't see what you're even talking about.
I don't know much, but my doctor did tell me that you don't want your bowel movements to be full of crafting materials. Like you don't want to be able to make like
forge a sword. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want a mid-quality armor. You know what I mean? You don't want that stuff going to waste.
That's literally going to waste.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
This is all fun history, but it's in the 1920s. It's got nothing to do with me. And it's got nothing to do with me being a Gen X who does not have lead. I don't have it.
The thing that's crazy to me.
How did this translate into lead in my body?
That's the thing that's crazy to me. So there's a woman named Dr. Alice Hamilton.
I don't trust her.
Issued a report.
Nope.
She said, I am one of those who believes that the use of leaded gasoline can never be made safe. No lead industry has ever, even under the strictest control, lost all its dangers. Where there is lead, some case of lead poisoning sooner or later develops, even under the strictest supervision.
Okay,
this is 1923.
Counterpoint, Jeff. Nuclear bomb's about to drop. Okay.
Yeah.
You're on a testing site, say in New Mexico, doing some sort of archaeological dig, and the bomb's about to drop. You get yourself into a lead-lined refrigerator.
Well, okay. Yeah. Now the lead has turned to your favor.
That's right. You are a simple. This is a second case use. You are a simple real estate developer trying to make your city a better place when all of a sudden an alien shows up in a jumpsuit to try to tell everybody that you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
But you can stop him by putting a rock in a lead-lined box and get back to helping the world be a better place.
Yeah, I think that's the calculus that we need to have in our brains.
That's right.
At all times.
That's right.
To make sure. That's right.
What if an alien tries to take the key to the city away from me and be the best boy in the city? These are two things we need to worry about, Jeff. And so that's why I say, Dr. Allison Hamilton, Dr. Allison, Dr. whoever you are, shut up.
Hamilton. Alice Hamilton.
Dr. Alexander Hamilton, shut up.
That's right.
I'll tell you, just Dr. Alexander Hamilton, just you wait till I get a hold. Just you wait.
So
okay.
I'll just summarize the end of this story, which is basically GM and DuPont hired a propaganda team to work the public perception of ethyl. And there was a short-term study that was funded by, you'll never guess, the Ethyl Corporation.
Sure.
And you'll never guess that it came up with basically no evidence that there was ever any health hazards for leaded gasoline.
Turns out that lead never existed. Turns out that we imagined it.
Yeah. And so this person who carried out studies for Ethyl Corporation wrote, as it appeared from their investigation, there was no evidence of immediate danger to the public health. It was thought that these necessarily extensive studies should not be repeated at public expense, but that they should be continued at the expense of the industry most concerned.
The mines.
And that's right. Fails to show any existence of such hazards. So all of it went away until 1996, right?
Okay.
We literally went from 1924, where people are dropping dead, and we know for a fact that this is a public health nuisance, a massive problem. And it takes until 1996 to ban leaded gas in the United States. Unreal to me that is the case.
When did we start using unleaded gas? When did that jump onto the scene?
I don't have that data here, but let me see if I could find it. It says, Congress passed the Clean Air Act in 1973. The EPA, was established then. Under the late President Carter.
Okay, so that makes sense. Of course, it was Carter. Of course, something was good for people and healthy. Of course, it was Jimothy Carter.
Yeah.
The peanut man who did the best for us, who we hated at the time. We hated our good father. We hated our good father who wanted the best for us because he was a fool, because he wasn't a cool guy and we didn't like him. And in the 1970s, he gave us unleaded gas and he said, "Stop killing yourself." Yeah. And we said, "Eat shit, Dad."
That's right.
Eat shit, Dad. We don't love you.
Which we continue to say to this very day.
That's right. So unleaded was introduced in the 70s, and then
that's right. But it wasn't mandated. Leaded gasoline wasn't mandated out of existence until 1996, and it was done over.
But that makes sense.
It was phased out.
Yeah, it makes sense because I think it could have been phased out quicker. But at that time, a lot of people were driving cars for 25, 30 years. A lot of people bought their car and they kept their car for most of their lives, right? Like I think my grandfather had 3 Buicks his entire life. He only bought Buicks and they all lasted, 25, 30 years each. So you have to give time, particularly for people who are using business vehicles, right? Farming equipment, things like that. The backbone, the salt of the earth, the lead of the earth, I like to call them. You have to give them time to go out and get a new vehicle. It's unfair of the government to say, it really is unfair of the government to say like, hey, this is unsafe, so you need to get rid of your car immediately and get a new car, unless the government's going to give you money for a car. Well, that's why people hate the government is don't tell me what to do, right? Or hey, build a fucking train, guys.
Well, we're seeing that right now with, the move to electric cars, where it's like, well, it was resisted for many, 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 many years. And now it's sort of the government can only incentivize that. And it's the same thing with leaded gasoline, where in 1974, the EPA said you have to have the option to buy unleaded if the consumer wants it.
Well,
so that was how it was mandated.
Because that's like here in California, every manufacturer has to have an electric car
option. That's right.
There has to be an option for me, no matter who's making the car. I have to be able to go into their dealership and say, show me your electric car. And they have to have one. And there's even like rules about like, it can't be weirdly special order. It has to be just as available as any other car. And the way they get around that is they make them more expensive and disincentivize them in other ways. Yeah.
And we see, but this
it's also like, listen, they make them more expensive and listen, I'm not caping for corporations here, but for a while they were more expensive because they were a new technology.
Sure,
like,
of course.
Like manufacturing plants had to be changed in order to manufacture electric cars. One of my favorite stories is like one of the most popular cars in California for a while was an electric Fiat, the Fiat 500e. And the reason why was like, it was too good a car. And the CEO of Fiat was like, I'm literally only making this because I have to. I hate making this car. This is a bad car and I don't want to sell it. But he had to make it for California and Oregon. And if you could get your hands on one of these Fiat 500Es and you didn't mind having a little car, they ran forever. They were super cheap. They were safe. They were these amazing fucking cars. And everybody knew in California, the secret was the Fiat 500e. It was this car that they didn't want to make, that they had to make. And the guy, the CEO was like, it turns out that when you take one of our little cars and you replace the engine with an electric one, it just becomes too badass for words. We didn't plan it. We'd rather that wasn't true. We'd rather you wanted the electric or the gasoline one because we make more money on it.
Well, and that's the whole thing about having options for the consumer is predicated on an educated consumer.
Right,
and
but we're not
the problem
educated,
is that
Jeff. You just told me my brain full of dead lead.
We're all stupid, lower IQ, first of all. And second of all, these propaganda campaigns, and you see it, like this is a case study that is in black and white of like how DuPont and GM systematically tried to tamp down the dangers about leaded gasoline and convince the public that everything was fine. That is happening now, and we all see it all around us with climate change, with CO2 emissions. It's the same pattern repeats itself over and over and over again. The people who stand to make money from this stuff want to convince the public there's no problem. You got to buy our thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And the information is so slow to get to people. And it's extremely infuriating.
Yeah, it's because...
And it leads to an entire generation that's screwed up like us.
It turns into a mosquito, a libido. You know what I mean? Like
that's right.
Before leaded gasoline, we had Woody Guthrie, and after leaded gasoline, we had a mosquito, a libido.
That's right. And it's only going to perpetuate because we're getting stupider. The lead has made us all dumb, and so we don't even know anything anymore.
No. The lead's done making us dumb. We're dumb. But like, listen, your kids, no lead, only microplastics. I do want to bring up one more time something that I think is one of the funniest things in history. When the automobile makers really wanted to take everything and make it theirs and just take over the world, always remember that they invented jaywalking. Always remember that the whole idea of crosswalks and that you have to then that like pedestrians have to worry about cars at all, and a pedestrian walking out into the road is actually the problem. Came from automobile makers who came up with the term jaywalking, created cartoons and propaganda, and told everybody, hey, those roads are for you. Those roads are for cars. They're not for you. Get the fuck out of those roads, you idiot. And if you see anybody in the road that isn't a car, you tell them they're being mean to cars.
I will leave you with this quote, which I think sums it all up. During the public debate of this, the press conference, someone asked, is this a public health hazard? And the spokesperson for GM said, quote, unfortunately, our problem is not that simple. Our continued development of motor fuels is essential in our civilization.
Look, it's like are a lot of
what's
people
more important?
Die? Yes.
Yeah, can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, motherfuckers.
Here's the
what's
problem.
more important, us driving our cars or people dying? I ask you this. I cede my time.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I cannot live in a world if 100,000 people need to die so 100,000 people can be at work 6 minutes faster.
Yeah.
I think that's a risk we have to take. I think that's a risk we have to take for America. Because I'll tell you what, like we found, the people who die of this lead poisoning, they're not oil men. And we don't want a country that's not full of oil men. That's
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's the other quote here is, the essential thing necessary to safely handle ethyl lead is careful discipline of our men.
That's right.
It becomes dangerous due to the carelessness of the men handling it.
Yes. The problem is the idiots who aren't oil men, the weak fools.
And he said, they asked him to describe the discipline that he's talking about.
Yeah.
He says, the minute a man shows signs of exhilaration, he is laid off. If he spills the stuff on himself, he is fired. Because he doesn't want to lose his job, he doesn't spill it.
That's right. That's right. Hey, it's not that he doesn't want to die. It's not that he doesn't want to die that he's not spilling the stuff on. It's because he doesn't want to lose his job. Because oil men care about work more than anything else. And if you let an oil man know, if you pour the dangerous poison onto you or into you, I'll simply dock your pay.
That's right. It's called motivation. That's called motivation.
Meanwhile, Thomas Midgley's sitting right behind him, taking sips of it out of a fucking brandy snifter, collecting his checks. Anyway, I guess what we have
all
to
these
say,
people.
as always, is cars are bad.
Fuck all these people. You know, as we sit here on the precipice of a time where regulation is just going to be stripped away, let us not learn from the past and see any time anyone will ever kill people, literally poison people to death in order to make an extra dollar. They will do it. And we have to stop them. And the idea that regulation is bad is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane because it's just over and over and over through history. We see this and it's going to happen again. It's happening now. It makes me fucking crazy, Anthony. It makes me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You know why? Because I had lead poisoning throughout my entire childhood.
That's right. And there are people that would say that it was the lead poisoning that drove you crazy.
That's right. Including this study that was just released.
So anyway, listen, everybody.
So if you're a Generation X, sorry, apologies, but we're all dumber, crazier, poisoned. It's not good.
Baby, I wouldn't have it any other way. If you want to talk to more stupid, crazy, poisoned people, a great place to do it is over on our Discord.
That's right. We have a repository of said people. Mm-hmm. You can join them by supporting this show and making sure we get to rant about more inane topics and history and science and all the other fun things we get to talk about. That only happens if you step up and support us at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. It also gets you access to that Discord and so many other cool perks just by supporting the show.
That's right. So head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns and help me support my ever-growing expensive lead habit. I can't stop the stuff.
On the ceiling, on the fishing on the wind, yeah.
Should have been our first warning sign.